So Tyler, I enjoyed your tweets. Tyler went on. What did you call it?
I called it the sell the team equinox yesterday.
They're very clever.
It was the doubleheader of White Sox and into Bulls. And it's funny how the whole schedule sort of worked itself out so that this would work, too. Very rarely can you go to 3 professional events in one day.
You're right, because you had the 1:10 start, and it was in a day-night doubleheader.
Straight doubleheader.
You go straight through, and then you had a late basketball game, so that game was never threatened.
Usually you can get maybe, a football game and a basketball game in?
Or maybe a baseball game.
Or a baseball game, but you can't get all of them.
Right. And that's why I wanted to do it, because I thought to myself, there's probably never really going to be an opportunity where this could happen again. So I said to myself, all right, not only am I going to go, I made 2 rules for myself.
Okay.
I'm going to go, and I have to stay for the whole time. The only way I could leave a game early is if the end of the White Sox game was threatening tip-off of the Bulls game. It's the only way I could leave early. But I couldn't leave early from the Bulls, couldn't leave early from the first game of the Sox. I had to stick through the whole thing. The other thing, too, if there were any sort of handouts or freebies, all that money had to go into a 50-50 raffle ticket.
So, Waddle offered to finance your trip?
He offered to put me on scholarship for the Bulls game, yes.
I did, because I knew his White Sox tickets were going to be freebies.
He called me in the morning, said, hey, let me buy your Bulls tickets. And I said, no, Waddle. I'm not letting you fund my idiocy. This is a journey that I'm going to go on, and I'm going to bear the burden of all costs.
What did you get the Bulls tickets for then?
It was $110 per.
110 per.
Yeah.
Where'd you sit?
We were in 213.
Those are great.
So
like,
yeah,
200 level for Hawks and Bulls are both fantastic.
It's kind of a cheat code too, because it is a smaller section. You can't get in it unless you have a ticket to it. So lines are shorter across the board. You've got like a waiter that can bring you stuff too if you don't want to get up and all that. The lines for the bathroom are always shorter. It is a cheat code.
Right. Sold out? Was the Bulls game sold out? Not only was it to be sold out?
Not only was it sold out, everyone was in their seats before the starting lineups.
That's what Bulls fans are. They're educated and excited.
It was full, and it was full from the start.
And loud. It sounded loud. Was it loud in person? Because it sounded loud on television.
So, all right, I wasn't old enough to go to any of the Jordan playoff games, but I went to quite a few during the Derrick Rose era. It was that loud.
Really?
And that is why, like, you brought up how I felt a little bit sad walking out. Is like, that's what this city's supposed to be for basketball. Except this game meant nothing in the grand scheme of things. I mean, it effectively was a hospice game. You know you're about to go get slaughtered by the Celtics if you do win.
Hospice game.
So you go out there, and it was this great atmosphere, and it's like, we should be getting this for 2 or 3 rounds at least.
Yes.
Every single year in this city. That's how much the city loves their basketball. And it made me reminisce to the days of going to the United Center with my mom or my dad for the Derrick Rose-led Bulls teams during the early 2010s. And it's like, this is what basketball in this city is supposed to be, and it's just not there anymore because this, at the end of the day, was a meaningless game. But the fans got up for it, and I applaud the fans for getting up for it. Like,
I don't blame fans for being excited or being into that. I'm never going to we want that. And I know I heard a caller today say, like, that the media should have done a better job of educating fans to stay away. Someone called Cap and J Hood and said that.
Who are you to tell somebody else how to use their disposable income?
Right.
Who are you to tell someone how to, try to make a son or a daughter, a happy child if this is what they want to go do? If you want to go to a game, like, it's not up to me or to you or to any of the fans to change the mind of the billionaire owner. It's up to him.
Yes.
Now, if you want to stay away, stay away.
And that shouldn't have to happen either. That's the sad part.
You do whatever it is you want to do, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to yell at either decision. You want to stay away because you don't want to give them your money because you don't feel like they've put in a good faith effort to be the best that they can be. Fine. You want to take your family to a game and go and cheer your head off and your kids, watch your kids, enjoy it, have a great time. I'm sure your boys love watching the Bulls play regardless of how they play.
Totally into it.
So, like, I think it's silly to get mad at people going to games and spending their money on tickets to do something they want to do just because you think everyone should be penalizing the owner.
Like I said, I grew up and as a child during some of the worst times as a Cub fan and as a Bulls fan. And it only fueled my love for sports. So why would I ever, even when our teams stink, tell families and tell parents and tell others to stay away from games when these were the teams, like the Cubs of the 70s, the Kingman and Mercer and Buckner Cubs, and the Bulls teams well before Michael Jordan with David Greenwood and Mark Landsberger and John Mengelt, and Reggie Theus, into Kyle Macy. Why would I ever tell these people to stay away? Orlando Woolridge. That's how I gained my love for the sport. Even though they were bad, I went with 5,000 people to the Chicago Stadium. But you know what it did? It fueled my love for sports.
Absolutely.
So stay away. Enjoy.
I just wish that the organization would have put a consistent product on the floor that was worthy, not the players' effort, because I think they play hard. And I think you have seen some improvement. And how can you not like what you saw from Kobe White and what you consistently see from DeMar DeRozan from the effort perspective? I just wish the team would put the same effort as an organization into trying to win the way that the fan base continues to dedicate themselves to supporting the team.
Exactly.
That's all I'm saying.
What were some of your big observations or big takeaways from either on the South Side or the Bulls game, Tyler?
All right, so at the White Sox game, no one was there. No one. I mean, there was maybe 1,000 people at the first game, and then that number dwindled down to maybe 300 by the second game. It was empty. It was just. First of all, they funneled all the fans into the lower bowl, so there was nobody sitting in the upper deck.
So
nobody. It was closed.
And I saw Brian Hanley tweet about this.
Yeah.
Because when I was, during some of these bad Cubs teams of my 70s, of my childhood, the Cubs used to close the upper deck. They used to have a rope for the ramp for the upper deck, and they would only allow people to sit in the lower deck. So there were no one was allowed to go up to the upper deck.
Well, it's also a cost-effective way to do business because that way you don't have to then have people manning the concession booths on the upper level. So you bring everything down, and then that way, if you want a hot dog or you want a beverage, you can only buy it on the one level, So it lowers the number of workers that are necessary to be there for a baseball game. So you can sit there and say, well, this is pretty cool. The team's allowing me to go down to the lower level for a better seat. What they're trying to do is save money, too.
Right. And I heard
It's what they're trying to do.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
I heard some people that were sitting around me, too. They were like, we've never, sat this close at a base. Because they were not just funneling you to, go to the 20th row, go to the 25th. No, they were saying, go row 1. Go row 3.
Sit as close as you want.
Yes.
Oh, well, that was cool, then.
So, yeah, it was cool. If you wanted to have a great seat at a baseball game, that was an awesome time for you.
So how much was actually, at the end of the day, was the 50-50 raffle?
It was around 3,000. And that was, they took 50-50 raffle for both games and blend the pot into one, which is, I think, pretty standard for a straight doubleheader. But, I've been to a Cubs straight doubleheader where it's over $100,000. And it just shows you how few people, because I think, I don't know what the posted attendance was, but that's obviously not the best way to indicate the amount of people in the stands. I think the 50-50 raffle is actually the best indicator of how many people are in the stands.
And it's the lowest you've ever seen it at a professional sports game?
I would guess so. I mean, not that I take a mental note every single time, but this one certainly stuck out to me as not only was it a low number, but it was a low number for 2 games.
Did you have a good time? Or did you feel like you were at work?
So I will say, had the milkshake. The milkshake
Spectacular.
has lived up to every single bit of hype that it gets. It is amazing.
Now, why is that? I mean, you can get a milkshake at many different places. At diners, they have these fancy milkshake places now. You can get a good milkshake at a DQ. There are many places you could get a milkshake. Is it because you're having a milkshake at a baseball game? Are they doing something with this milkshake? Why is this milkshake getting so much publicity.
Now, I will say this: you have, and who isn't, but like you have to like s'mores for this.
Well, who doesn't like s'mores?
Exactly, and it's something like the whipped cream almost feels like it's very marshmallowy to it. Like everything about it, like it feels like you're sitting around a campfire with this thing. That's what, hence the name, the campfire milkshake. So that lived up.
Can you consume it with just a straw? Do you have to have a plastic spoon? I mean, what
I just used a straw, and I was fine with just the straw.
how long did it take you to down it?
It probably took me about 2 innings. Like it's a
a 2-inning milkshake.
It's a big milkshake. Like
Did you think about adding alcohol to it at any point?
No, I did not.
Can you do that?
I don't know. I mean, you could kind
You
of
brought your own little, 1 ounce bottle of vodka
like
or
a little
something.
shooter. Yeah.
What would it do to? Do you think it would ruin the taste?
It wouldn't be vodka. You wouldn't want vodka in a
would you
I'm trying to
milkshake.
think.
Rum?
Yeah, like a rum
Or like
a
a
whiskey, maybe.
What do you call
Kahlua?
yeah, like a Kahlua
Or maybe even like
Bailey's.
yeah.
Chocolate liqueur of some sort.
Yeah, something like that would maybe go
Put a little
pair
gold
nicely.
Schlager in that thing.
Yeah, because like they have stands, like their lemonade stands there have the option to add vodka to them. So I'm sure you could. And the way that it's set up, it's where the only place you can get the milkshake is in this part it's called the Vizzy Viewing Bar, I believe it's called. It's out in the left field corner.
How long's the line? Well, not yesterday, but
Yesterday,
normally.
I don't know how long the line usually is, but they sell out. But it's in an area where there is a bar, like a full service bar in there. It's kind of like for yesterday's purposes where it was a doubleheader. I needed to charge my phone. I went in there and charged my phone in there.
I'm
'Cause it
telling
was-
you, they should hire you and I for marketing.
Yes, for sure.
advertising. You're going to the food and the experience. You go in there
You
for
go
dinner.
for that.
Go for dinner.
And there's a sideshow.
There's right.
It's
There's
just a
a dinner
baseball
theater.
game. Yeah. And
Go
baseball.
for dinner. Food's fantastic.
You come for dinner. Maybe stay
Yeah,
for some baseball.
yeah.
You don't have to stay for
Well,
the
we're
whole
going to tell
thing.
you how good it is.
Stay until they blow the game.
Yes, because if you put the emphasis on watching good baseball, you're going to be disappointed. If you put the emphasis on having a good meal, you're going to be excited.
Yes, yes.
And then the baseball,
food's great.
the baseball lets you down. Then so what? Your priority is a good
Yes,
meal.
They're marketing it backwards. And then they shut down though alcohol in game 2 in the 5th inning. You told me.
Yeah, so I'm walking up. I'm like, all right, I can get one more beer before I get on out of here. And I'm going up to a stand, and the guy is like about to crack it, and then his manager comes flying in and goes, no, we have to stop at the 5th inning. We have to stop. And I'm just like, this guy was guns a-blazing in to stop this thing from happening. So I was like, all right, well,
Is that
he
a
may
normal?
be-
Is that a
maybe a-
normal doubleheader rule?
I don't know.
I mean,
know.
that may be a rule that if you break the rule, you could, be
Yeah,
subject to some sort of fine.
Now, I will say,
if the after 5th inning alcohol police are in the building.
By the way, it was 5:30 in the evening.
Yeah.
For last call.
right. So the other thing about
Yeah,
that,
strange
though,
things happen in that building sometimes, as
was
you know
that
last year.
if you were walking around the concourse, you know how at Guaranteed Rate Field, there's 2 types of concession stands. There's the ones that are, if you're walking down the concourse, there's the ones that are closer to the seats that are more like kiosk
Right.
stands.
Sure.
And then there's like the traditional concession stands.
Right.
All of the ones that were kiosky sort of shut down.
They were
shutting-
closed?
They were all closing. Like they all had their books out and then were like closing up shop for the day. You could tell. But this guy, like I asked him like, hey, are you guys still open? He's like, yeah, what do you need? Blah, blah, blah. And then they put the kibosh on that. So I couldn't get that last beer there in the 5th inning. And it kind of got to that point. I'm like, oh, this is going to be tough to kind of muscle out the last 4 innings of this game now.
Can't you go inside one of the
Like that bar, the Vizzy bar.
Yeah, and you don't want they serve?
I didn't try. I probably could have tried.
Yeah,
but
you didn't work
That's a
hard
rookie
enough.
move.
Yeah, maybe it was a rookie move. Yeah.
Rookie
You went there for the milkshake, but you didn't go for that final beer?
That was the 3rd inning of the first game.
Okay.
And like, I don't know. I just didn't like, because where I was sitting, I was behind the plate. I was like, do I want to?
You didn't want it bad enough.
I didn't
Well,
want it
he
bad enough. I
said
really
he
did.
also said the milkshake made him a little sleepy.
Yeah, the milkshake does knock you out a little bit.
something out of
That's
him.
weird. I'm like, what are they putting in it?
Now, it may have been the fact that by the time I had finished the milkshake, I had also downed 2 dogs and a beer as well. So, like, it could have been just the culmination of all those foods brewing in my stomach at that point.
Or the Sox baseball.
Or, yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. The game sucked. Like,
Well, that's a guarantee.
4-2 and 2-1.
Yeah, that's a
It
guarantee.
was awful.
Competitive.
Competitive, sure, but like it wasn't
Two
like
good rookie outings.
Now, I will say the first game had a little bit more because there were, I think, 3 home runs in it, and the Royals did come back. So I guess the first game was entertaining, but the second game was just atrocious baseball.
You know how we used to kind of market ourselves as we may not be very good, but we give away great stuff? Like on the South Side, seriously, especially if you're time conscious, the baseball may not be very good, but they're going to suck quickly. Like, you could get in and out of a straight-through doubleheader in 5 hours.
All right, so they should market the games and say, hey, come for the food, stay for maybe some baseball. Or you could say, we may not be very good, but we're going to suck quickly. Those are the two marketing slogans we're coming up with.
They have to be at the top of Major League Baseball's list of fastest games played consistently, right? Because there's never a base runner.
Well, that first game flew.
By the way, Pedro Grifol did clarify about the optional stretching. Later, we got to get to that. He did give words to that yesterday. I don't know if you saw that. 312-332-3776. So getting back to the Bulls game. Did you allow yourself to enjoy the game? Or did you sit there and did you rage through the Bulls going nowhere? What was your main takeaway last night watching the Bulls game? And now I think they're going to beat Miami. Jimmy's going to miss the game. Alex Caruso's probably going to miss the game too. In the most Bulls-esque injury ever. We got to get into that. But, like, how do you feel about what you saw last night from the Bulls?